Each and every one of you for coming. This is really a day of celebration. This is the culmination of a journey that began with the East Forest Park community, who said to everyone who would listen, we deserve in our neighborhood a first-class library, and here we are. I am Helen Caulton-Harris. I'm the Commissioner of the Division of Health and Human Services for the great city of Springfield. I'm also a very proud member of the Library Foundation, and we are here again to celebrate. To begin our celebration, we're going to have a poem that is going to be read by Magdalena Gomez. Magdalena is the 2019-2020 Poet Laureate for the city of Springfield. She is a writer, she is an educator, she is a phenomenal woman in every sense of the word. Please welcome Magdalena Gomez.
Thank you, Ms. Caulton. It's an honor from you. Thank you. Before I begin, I want to thank every person who laid this foundation, the people we don't see, the people who put the bricks up, the floor, the carpet, the chairs. Those were made in a factory somewhere. I just want to say thank you to the ones we don't see, and thank you to the ones we do. And I wrote this in honor of a city that values literacy. Congratulations to all of you. My mother could not read or write until the age of 60, and I'll share with you my library story. In Spanish, biblioteca is library, coming from, of course, the Greek biblios for books. La biblioteca is a doula. When my saddle shoes were too big so they might last beyond the year, I ran away from home, where yelling to be heard by the unheard rattled in my skull, burial ground of secrets. One foot met the other like long-lost friends, awkwardly skipping their way into Saturdays towards stacked, protective fortresses from childhood's dark labyrinths, where underestimated eyes of innocence found immortal truths. They understood more deeply than those tall ones with the sour faces who had dropped their smiles on brutal roads of hunger, on endless days of earning just enough to make ends meet, at the end of fists that grabbed too much. A library door, where I found my Narnia, where I fell in love with Emerson, where I read Chinese poets and wrapped myself in the silk of their words, of punctuation strung like pearls, stitching together the stops, the starts, the questions, the breaths, the echoes, the exclamations, unleashed from a soul so new to the world and so old to life, where I stood on tippy toes to reach the longings of humanity, to find myself, gathering lost smiles into dreamscapes of resilience, where I found my Narnia, fell in love with Emerson, with Chinese women poets. Musty books perfumed my imagination. Crisp books fell open into my tiny hands like tomorrow's gold that promised there would always be enough in this temple where everything was possible, where now, pressing into winter's whim, I am consoled by the velveteen rabbit. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That was amazing. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the leadership of the Springfield City Library and the Springfield City Library Commission. Molly Fogarty is a leader that is phenomenal as well. She leads a library system that is renowned in the Western region in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She has a staff that is very dedicated, and one of the reasons that we're standing here is because of the grant that they wrote in order to secure the funding for partial funding of this building. Steve Cary, many of you know from Focus Springfield, he's the one who makes sure that we know what's going on. Watch Channel 17 and you'll see. And so we want to welcome to make remarks Lee, Molly Fogarty, as well as Steve Cary. If you would join us, please.
Thank you, Helen, for those very kind words. It certainly means a lot to me coming from you. I'm Molly Fogarty, the library director, and I am here to welcome you on behalf of the library staff. And a lot of people are going to be thanked many times over here today, but I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our staff, the East Forest Park staff, who have been here since November 4th, getting this library ready to open. So all of you that are here, raise your hands. Thank you. I also want to thank our other library staff who have been here on a pretty much daily basis to get this library open. Mary Frederick, our IT manager, and her assistant, Eddie Sang, and Carol Leaders, our business manager, Jean Canosa Albano, our assistant director, Tom Daly, our maintenance supervisor. These are all the players that have been working diligently to open this library. Also want to take this opportunity to thank J. Stewart Roberts, our architect, associates, our architects who designed this beautiful building, and W.J. Mountford, our contractor who built the building. And also want to take this opportunity to thank the City Capital Assets and Construction Department, who without their help, obviously this building would never have been built. Peter Garvey, Myron Hatchett, and Seamus Warwick. Myron and Seamus were here every single day since this ground was broken in October of 2018. Right? Yeah, okay. It seems like it can't be true that we're opening 14 months later. They were here through the cold weather, the hot weather, and when you have an opportunity to walk through the library and see the library, you will see a slideshow showing the progress of this construction. And in the past several weeks, as we were waiting for furniture to be delivered, they were here till all hours of the night to make sure that we were ready to open. So I can't thank them enough. Also want to thank the Library Commission, the Library Foundation, and of course our mayor for his commitment. And our city council who voted unanimously to fund this project, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, and Lauren Stera, our building consultant from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, who guided me through the planning and design grant part of this project and the construction grant, and worked with us through the design development. And when we were getting nervous about everything being done on time, she's kept us going. So there are a lot of people to acknowledge. But I want to also what Magdalena just said about this city, valuing literacy and valuing their library system. This library system started in 1857, and it was always, as buildings were built, they were always built to meet the needs of the community at that time. The first branches opened in 1909, and here we are, 110 years later, opening a new branch. So we need to congratulate the city and the value they put on their library and literacy and their residents. And I am so pleased to welcome you all, and I'll try to keep my remarks short so that we give everybody else an opportunity. We certainly want to thank our state legislative delegation, Senator Lesser, and Representative Puppolo and Representative Williams, who are here today, and you'll be hearing from them. But without their support of the construction, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners construction grant program, we wouldn't be here today as well. So lots of people, if I haven't thanked you, I'm sorry, I mean to thank you, and other people will thank you throughout this morning. I just want to close, this has been a true community effort. The residents of this neighborhood have made this library a reality. They told us what they wanted in a library, and we built it. And I can't thank the residents of this community for all their dedication and hard work to make this happen. And I just want to close really quickly with, I mean, usually you quote, someone else, but I'm going to quote myself just to kind of finish this off. And I was looking for some information on the Mason Square Library, and an article popped up from 2011. And I was asked to make a comment on how we got that library reopened and dedicated that day. This was April of 2011. And what I said, and I think it holds true to this as well, is that a lot of people worked really hard for a long time with determination, courage, and dedication to make this happen. So thank you all. And I'll hand it over to Steve Cary.
Very nice. Right here. I told you we were going to do it.
Oh, yes.
As Molly said, there's a lot to be said about the people and the events that made it possible for us to gather in this incredible space. We've divided that list among us so we don't make it too long. And I promised, although I'm not known for brevity in my speech, I promised I'd be try to move along. But when I played soccer in my youth, Mayor Sarno was a goalie. And I'd be disappointed in myself every time the ball got past me. But knowing that he was defending our goal gave me a sense of safety and security and confidence. Thank you for your support. For keeping his eyes and hands on the ball. That same feeling kind of prevailed when the Library Commission began to consider this long journey that finally ends today. Many Wednesday night commission meetings over several years have dug into what does it mean to do this work? What does it mean to try to get to this day? Krista Fintralakis is a former librarian. She couldn't be with us, but I want to acknowledge all of our commissioners. Tim Moriarty, Megan Lungy, Matt Riley, David Maynard, and Claudio Concepcion. If you're here, please stand, and I thank you. Every step along the way, the Sarno administration, they asked thoughtful questions. They offered support. They helped us build an incredible team. You've heard about some of them. You'll hear about ones that I might not mention. From city councilors and local state delegation who pitched in with vigor. To Molly Fogarty and the Rockstar staff that occupied a tiny space at the Island Pond branch. To Myron Hatchett, his boots were walking every inch of this property. Since the first shovel went in the ground, I think that will continue. We often joke that this journey was a tale of two mayors. I thank Charlie Ryan for appointing me to the commission. It was over a dozen years ago. I think some of those years involve my gray hair now. But I'm grateful for the journey that he and Barbara Garvey asked me to join. Very lucky. In a city that the Merriam-Webster Dictionary was invented, the Springfield Library Foundation defines what it means to be a powerful but very quiet and effective philanthropy. They provide programming, they provide training, and they provide a lot of the holes that we can't always fill, get filled by the Library Foundation. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to be here. And I want to thank Molly. When I first was appointed to the Library Commission, I thought I knew a lot about libraries. I didn't. Besides driving to Boston and personally delivering the grant that got us here today, Molly's guided the commission. We now understand a little better, not fully, but the wide breadth of a system that delivers services to everyone and anyone. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your work on behalf of the City of Springfield, Steve and Molly. Obviously, what you've done is phenomenal and will go down in the history books of the City of Springfield. Thank you. I'd like to just recognize some individuals who are here with us, and I hope you'll just take a moment to thank. Some of them have been recognized already. As I said to you, I'm a member of the Library Foundation. Our chair is here, Mr. Markey, who will be speaking. Of course, Charles V. Ryan, yay! He certainly is the reason we are here. He would take no for an answer when folks talked about cutting library services in the city of Springfield. No for an answer when they said we can't find the funding. No for an answer when he said we're going to cut back on staff. Charles V. Ryan, you are our hero. Thank you. Mary Ann Maloney is here. Thank you, Mary Ann. We want to recognize Dora Robinson, a member of the foundation, is here. Thank you, Dora. Mary Costello is here, a member of the Library Foundation. Thank you, Mary. I'm going to read the names of the individuals who aren't here. Bear with me. Elizabeth Stevens, James Puhana, am I saying that correctly? Cheryl Coakley Rivera is a member of the foundation. Ed Pakula is a member of the foundation. Benjamin Swan Jr. is a member of the foundation. TJ Plant is a member of the foundation, and John Daly. Thank you all for your work. We will recognize others as we move along, but we are going to bring up the individual who provide amazing leadership as well, along with Charles V. Ryan. Mayor Ryan did so much to help get us here, but so didn't Domenic J. Sarno. And I say that to you because you don't know the behind the scenes. It's easy to stand here and for me to tell you of the accomplishments of this mayor. But what I know is he wrote letters. He called people on the telephone. He really tried to get the funding in place to make sure we stood here today. And I call this journey a journey of two mayors, and both of them stand in my mind as just stalwart library supporters. Domenic J. Sarno, we value and appreciate your leadership, and I so much am grateful for your presence as far as this project and many across the city is concerned. Please welcome the mayor of this city, Domenic J. Sarno.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you. Thank you. The elegant and eloquent Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Helen Caulton-Harris. Thank you. You said it just the way I wrote it. I appreciate that. What a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year gift to have the gift of knowledge, the gift of education, the gift of imagination. And that's what we do here today in valuing our libraries. And I want to give a special shout out to my partner, Mayor Charlie Ryan. You know, Charlie was there negotiating with Andrew Carnegie many, many years ago. He loves that line, by the way, when I use that. And through these trials and tribulations and triumphs, Mayor Ryan taught me a lot in those negotiations on how we could move forward. But I always respectfully and affectionately call him, rightfully so, the godfather of our libraries. When many other regions or cities or towns are shutting down their libraries, some actually making arguments to each and every one of us who are library proponents that, what do you need a library for? You have the computers, you have the internet, you have this or that. Who really goes to a library anymore? Our library system under Molly Fogarty and cabinet head, Helen Caulton-Harris, has really diversified. And I've looked upon the libraries. I always say about the parks, and we sunk in about $30 million, if not more, in our park system. They were always my Riviera as a kid. Forest Park and Emerson White in the South End. Because my father always worked, my mother never drove, and that was our Riviera. But libraries was also a Riviera to me, the Forest Park branch library. And to be able to give to our young people, and also to individuals wise in years of wisdom, the opportunity to come here and take out a book, get on a computer, do a job search, have some camaraderie, socialize, have the neighborhood meet and get together. Come together in celebration. Come together in empowerment, how to make for a better city. And when you look upon it, it was really, and Beth Hogan is here from the East Forest Park Civic Association, it was really the resiliency of the residents of East Forest Park that kept me going and our team going 24/7 after that devastating tornado, EF3 tornado of June 1st, 2011. And after we got through the search and rescue and triage and stabilization, shortly behind the scenes, we started to work on a rebuilding plan, not only for 1/3 of the city that was devastated, but for the whole city to make it better. And we constantly heard, whether it was from Ward Councilor Tim Allen or from the neighborhood leaders and the residents, boy, Don, or Mayor Sarno, hey, Sarno, we'd love to have our own standalone library here in East Forest Park. So when you look upon it, we made sure in our negotiations, we fought for every dime to get back from FEMA and the federal government that was due to the city of Springfield, and we worked very closely with Congressman Neal with Ritchie, and we were able to cobble together money, some of that disaster recovery money that we put in through the city side, worked through the city council, money that we were able to put in from the foundation, which has been a godsend, and also the generous donations from pennies from our kids to hundreds of thousands of dollars from our residents and our very, very philanthropic business community that stepped forward, the Mass Mutuals. We Speak Your Language, Bill Wagner there from the old Chicopee Savings, the state grant that came across. I appreciate our legislators. Press Blake. Charlie and I were a tag team. So we diplomatically but aggressively twisted a few arms. It's difficult to say no to two mayors, and whether we were on the phone, whether we did personal visits, whether we wrote letters, we asked, you're going to feel good when you donate to this project because it's going to make a fantastic difference, not only to the residents of East Forest Park, but to the city of Springfield. So it's always great that we come together to celebrate another achievement. And they have Dryden School. I know Superintendent Warwick, Danny, is way back there, and we appreciate his efforts. Dryden School being rebuilt. The old Cathedral High School, which we fought tooth and nail to make sure that a high school structure was going to be there. Now Pope Francis is there. Now to have the East Forest Park standalone library here in this wonderful neighborhood, of the many wonderful neighborhoods we have in the city of Springfield. You just can't put a price tag on it. And to do it during the holiday season, and to know the money that we spent here, the $10, $12 million, that is going to multiply tremendously for the opportunities it's going to give each one of our citizens, whether young or wise in years of wisdom. So these are days, and I know Mayor Ryan, only mayors know what mayors go through. These are days that you don't want to bang your head against the wall. I don't want to bang anybody else's head against the wall. We come to celebrate. So I thank each and every one of you for your continued belief. And I see Billy Foley back there. Billy Foley was one of the first people I appointed on the recovery planning here, and Billy had really advocated on the library. You all advocated on it. So another good thing going on here in the city of Springfield, and I'm just so grateful, Mayor Ryan, Charlie, that whatever Andrew Carnegie whispered in your ear, it trickled down to me. God bless you all. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. Moving along, we are very pleased to have with us the chair of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. Without the support of the Massachusetts Library Board of Commissioners, again, that support has been outstanding. And so we invite you, Mr. Roland Ochsenbein, to come and give remarks, please.
Well, this is what we live for at the MBLC. Moments like this. It really is. What a wonderful day. On behalf of Governor Baker and the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, and on behalf also of Agency Director James Lonergan, who is here with me today, himself a graduate of Cathedral High School. Yes. And all the staff at the MBLC, especially Library Building Specialists Lauren Stara and Andrea Bunker, who are also here with me today, I offer a hearty and warm congratulations to all of you on this occasion. To all who have given your time and your talent and your treasure to make this happen, let me say that what you have accomplished here is indeed extraordinary. I have often described this library as an example of the kind of strategic investment, kind of larger vision. And in conversations and in testimony, I've described this library as a sort of a capstone of years of strategic investments in recovery and rebuilding initiatives made necessary by the devastating effects of the tornado outbreak of 2011. That is one way to look at it, but you could also say, as I think the mayor has said at different times, this is also about resilience, a word that I love, resilience. It's a testament to the strength and resilience of the people of Springfield and this East Forest Park neighborhood. It's a testament also to the power of community and connectedness that such a significant artifact as a public library, what the historian David McCullough once described as perhaps the most marvelous of all of our American institutions, can arise on the very site of such tragedy and devastation. What an inspirational and transformative legacy you have created here. It is truly extraordinary. And this, my friends, is a marvelous example of the best that a modern library can be. Flexible and open, with space and capability and technology to meet the needs of the community now and for many generations to come. And the location, I marvel at the location next to an elementary school, next to a high school, and also within walking distance of much of the neighborhood. We at the MBLC were pleased to provide a portion of funding for this project, just over $4.9 million, or about 57% of the total cost. Through the Public Library Construction Program. Since the late 1980s, this program has helped over 200 cities and towns fund the planning, design, or construction of new or renovated or expanded libraries. It's an outstanding program and key to helping bring many of our beloved libraries, especially the older ones, into the 21st century. Please thank your legislators for their support of library funding. It's through their continued support that programs such as this exist. And I want to just give a special shout out and of thanks to Senator Eric Lesser, who is here, who is co-chair of the Library Legislative Caucus. We had a very successful year this year with our library budget request, thanks in no small part to the work and advocacy and backing of the Library Caucus. And as timing would have it, we are at this very moment seeking authorization for a new construction bond that will fund construction for libraries in those communities coming up next in line. So if I could ask you anything today, please pay it forward and ask your legislators to support the new construction bond for the next library. In October of 2018, I was here at the groundbreaking with many of you, under a tent in the rain, in a muddy field, perhaps, as someone said on that day, a muddy field of dreams. Today we stand not in a field, but in a new building, a dream made real because we collectively believe that a library is a necessary and vital and smart investment, that a library is really more than a library, especially when it is, as in this case, a neighborhood anchor, and that its existence will enrich the lives of those who live here today and for years and generations to come. So I say to you, care for this new library and support those who staff it. Nurture it, fill it with dreams and wisdom and love. Once again, from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much for your remark, and thank you for your work. I'd like to acknowledge Springfield City Councilor Jesse Letterman, who is here. Councilor Letterman, thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciate your support on the City Council. I'd like to acknowledge my two department heads, one of whom will be speaking, who are here. Peter Garvey, who is the Director of Capital Assets Management, he will be speaking. Richie Allen, who lives in East Forest Park, is here to celebrate with us. Thank you for being here. He is the assessor. So when our taxes go, wait, because...
You're the guy? Richie, you better leave
State Representative Williams always says to me, I live on Overlook Drive, and he says, you know, we pay the most taxes in the city, Helen. So thank you, State Representative, for helping me know that about my street. Thank you. Also, we want to make sure that we are acknowledging, to me, one of the most important individuals in our community, in our legislature, that is Congressman Richard Neal. And I say that only because he has made it really a signature to bring back money to be able to support projects in the Western region, and we are very appreciative of his support of this library. He was one of the first individuals to come out and say we will be supportive, working with Mayor Sarno and Mayor Ryan. To represent Congressman Neal today is his aide, Kareem Kiboda. Kareem, thank you.
On behalf of Chairman Neal, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I know that lifelong learning is one of the Congressman's most important tenets. He will constantly tell you the importance and the value of reading. There's no shortage of quotes by great leaders that highlight just how important education is. But to me, I see something much more inspiring sitting right in front of me, a room full of people overflowing that are dedicated to their community. So I just want a round of applause for all of you that are here today. This library will allow us to connect our past and our present, to instill new ideas that will allow us to move forward into a better and more knowledgeable future. As the mayor alluded to before, the programs have evolved beyond so much more than just books and a quiet place to study. This is a place for community, a place for learning. It is a place for hope and aspiration, and I'm just proud to be amongst you today. I'm excited to see what we're able to accomplish in our future, and on behalf of Chairman Neal, I would just like to thank you all once again for the hard work that you've committed into making this happen. And I have one very important question for all of you today. Do you have your library cards yet?
Thank you very much. As you all know, Congressman Neal wanted very badly to be here, but he was required to be in Washington, D.C. yesterday to take a very important vote. And so he does send his regrets, but he ably sent his aide to assist. And we very much appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. You have heard about the co-chair of the Library Legislative Caucus. that is Senator Lesser. But I think he has been very supportive of this library and this library system. But Senator Lesser stands out to me because he is a supporter of this region in general. He makes sure that he carries the voice of each one of the residents to the Senate, and he advocates very strongly for a host of things. I work with him closely, most closely, on our opioid crises, and he has been at the front of assuring that we were paying attention and that legislation went forward to make sure Narcan got in the hands of every individual who needed it. And so I thank him very much for that. Today, we thank him for his really wonderful support as the co-chair of the Legislative Library Caucus. Please welcome Senator Lesser.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the kind words, and I just want to say thank you. I mean, this is really an incredible day. It's actually a very emotional day, I think, in a lot of ways. When I think about libraries, I really think about my mom. Joan Granucci was her maiden name, grew up in Little Italy in Manhattan. Her father was a dock worker, a longshoreman on the Brooklyn waterfront. And they didn't have a lot. They're an Italian immigrant family, but one thing that they did have around the corner from where she grew up at 199 Prince Street, which is now Soho. It's a very trendy neighborhood now, but back then it was not like that. But around the corner from where she grew up, just building off the comments that were opened by our laureate, was a New York City Public Library branch. And she was able to go there every day after school and get the books out. The librarian there would allow her to take out as many books as her age, and then she would bring the books back. And for a working class child in an inner city community, it opened an entire world for her. And she used to tell us as kids that books allowed her to travel, allowed her to go anywhere in the world. Allowed her to learn about cultures and communities that she didn't have access to. And one thing led to another. She got a scholarship to go to school, and she's a professor and has been a professor for a while and a social worker. So I really feel very strongly about libraries really being about social justice and economic mobility and upward mobility for everyone. That is the goal of a public library system. That's the goal of a city library system. That's why it's important, because it gives every person in our community access to what in a modern society is really the key to power, which is knowledge. And if you have free access to knowledge, you have free access to a whole world. And so this library is really a testament to that. And I just want to build off the comments about resilience that the mayor made and others have made. This community, this city has been through a lot, and I think it speaks to the character of the people in this community that after a tornado, after the destruction that came from that event, one of the first instincts was to build a library. That is really a very special comment on the values of our city, on the values of this neighborhood, and on the values of everybody in this room. And onto the sausage making side of this, that's very lofty and we want the library, but then how do we pay for it? Massachusetts is a very unique state in that we have this statewide library construction program. It's actually, in a way, built off of the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the way we have an authority to help fund construction of schools. Massachusetts is one of the only states, I think it might be the only state, we'll go with that. It's the only state that has a program for funding the construction of libraries. And it's a very unique program in that it relies on local support. And Molly and I talked about this a lot, but Molly deserves a lot of credit for putting together an incredible application. Relies on private sector support. So many of the private sector partners are here. But in the history, I think it started in the 1980s, as the commissioner mentioned, 200 communities had gotten support from this state library funding program. Springfield, the third largest city in the state, had not gotten one. And so when the opportunity came to chair the Libraries Caucus, I went to our Ways and Means chair and I said, hey, you know, would chairing this caucus help with the Springfield East Forest Park Library? And he said, yeah, you might want to put your name on that and sign up. So I'm very relieved and very grateful to the Board of Library Commissioners for funding, you know, a nearly $5 million grant to help make this possible. But I really just stand in awe and gratitude to the community here, because if one child gets the opportunity that my mom got, then all of this is well worth it. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you. And continuing the theme of legislators who are supportive, stalwart, and have the best interest of the city of Springfield and our residents at the core of everything that they do in the legislative body, in their legislative work. State Representatives Bud L. Williams and State Representative Angelo Puppolo, I don't know any finer representatives on the statewide level in the Commonwealth. And I have served on statewide committees for a number of years, and I've seen state representatives around the state of Massachusetts. We have the best. Welcome, State Representative Puppolo and Williams. Okay, they don't want to speak, so I am going to just cut it off right now. Anytime they have to think about who goes first, I need to just say they don't want to talk. Okay.
It's always tradition. This is my district, technically, but he's a senior man. We always defer to the senior man, so the senior man has it.
All right, thank you.
Senior just in time in the legislature. Certainly not in age. Well, a couple housekeeping things. Thank God we're not outside today like we were for the groundbreaking. But and Richie Allen says tax bills will be out in less than 2 weeks. So that's why we did this today. So there's no chance to corner him before you leave. But look, honestly, it's an honor and privilege to be here today. Certainly, say just a few words on behalf of myself and certainly the legislative delegation and Buddy Williams. And it's a long time coming. I remember, when I was on the city council a long time ago, Buddy and I were on there, and it was some of the darkest days of the libraries, if you will. We were closing libraries. Funding was tough. A lot of the residents had stepped up and continued the tradition that we have here in the city of Springfield of resiliency has been used, but to make sure that we continue to have the best library system in the Commonwealth. We stepped up back then. I was on the city council, as I alluded to. We made sure we did what we had to do to keep, libraries open as much as we could, as long as we could, to keep the lights on, frankly. And you saw the same sort of coalition come together for this. You had a really great partnership of people within our neighborhood, within our city, corporate sponsors, great partnership, library board, so many people, Mayor Ryan, Mayor Sarno, that have really pitched in to make this happen today. What's been great about it is living right here. And you talk about we were here for the groundbreaking. It wasn't that long ago that we were here for the, remember we had that little like string sort of, remember Gene, we had that little sort of layout of the sort of blueprint, 3D blueprint, if you will, of what this building was going to be like. And that was really the first time that we really, I think, had the opportunity to see it visually, to see how big it's going to be. We were able to stand in certain areas. We were able to look and see what was going to be here, fast forward to today. And again, what's great about being so close is I was able to see this, Buddy can tell you the same thing, really to go up brick by brick, to watch this building come together, to watch it sort of grow, to watch all the, as the poet laureate said, to thank everybody for the chairs and the bricks, and we were able to see that, literally, brick by brick, cement the roof, and be here today for this wonderful sort of grand opening, if you will. And so many things have gone on as we've talked to. Oh boy. Either that's an omen to get done, or you better chip in a little extra for your tax bill in a couple weeks. But look, so it was, through those times that we all come together to make sure that, we're all here today. And, when you look at the importance of libraries, and it was alluded to, and I don't want to, drag that on, but, today's century, right, with everybody with, cell phones, iPhones, iPads, computers, there still is a big, big need for libraries. There still is a very important aspect of the children, of the seniors, of adults coming in here, using the facility, seeing and touching books. But more beyond that, we've talked about this is a dynamic building. You're able to have so much more going on here than just, books and so many more things of the, when I went to school, it was the Dewey Decimal System. I don't think we don't use that anymore, but it's something very similar. But we have everything here, so you can go take a book if you want to physically, but you can also, look at something electronically. This is going to be a meeting facility. It's going to be a meeting hall for the neighborhood. It's going to be a lot of great events here. A lot of people are going to grow up here. A lot of people are going to have a great time, and a lot of people, more importantly, are going to learn. So I just want to say again, thank you to everybody that's here today. Thank you for everybody who had a role in this. We in the legislature, it's a great day to be able to cut a ribbon, at a facility like this, at a library, to make sure that we see some of the good things that we do day in and day out. A lot of times you look at a budget, it's all line items, right? It's big, important things. We don't really get to see faces and things that are behind it. Today we get to see that here. The great thing about representing not only Springfield, but Wilbraham, East Long Meadow, part of my district, Wilbraham, Friendlies, right? So we talk about Friendlies, talk about ice cream, right? So ice cream, we talk about sundaes. What's the best thing on a sundae? The cherry on top. So today is our cherry on top for East Forest Park. So thank you all. It's great to be here, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Morning. I think protocol has been set. First of all, welcome to the 11th Hamden District. East Forest Park is the only neighborhood in the state that has 3 representatives. You got Angelo, myself, and Jose. They chopped up Ward 7 like you would never believe. So you're very fortunate or unfortunate. As it's been alluded to, if we go back a few years and when we did Proposition 2.5, and voters in the city decided to whack the libraries and whack the parks, funded the police and funded fire. At that time, the library system was on the brink of disaster. And there were a few individuals who stepped up. Charlie Ryan, Peter Picknelly Sr., David Starr, Barbara Garvey, I see there, and a few people. And they got the synergy to keep it going. And it was the private funding that filtered to our libraries. We had downtown, and then look what we have now. I want to thank you, Mayor, and those folks who have gone on. But really, this is a tremendous day for the city of Springfield. Now, how we got here, it's more than just a library. We need the library. And, we just passed the Opportunity Act, which is another $1.5 billion into the educational system. And we were very, very hard and pushed that libraries be a part of it. Now, you heard what Mr. Chairman said. There's another bond coming. So I would tee up something, find something. That's what they do in Boston. They always find something to build. So you understand that. And the first time in History City, in Western Massachusetts, they have more representatives in Boston than we do in Western Mass, more reps. So we have to work together as a team. It's very, very important we work together as a team. We said when it happened, I was chairman of the Ward 7 Democratic Committee. Beth was chairperson of the East Forest Park Civic Association. We didn't have a place to meet. It always baffled me. I've been living over here 11 years, that East Forest Park never had a community center to meet. Mason Square, you have the Dunbar, you got the Family Center, you got downtown, you got Pine Point. Never had a place to meet. We had to go to Nathan Bill's we met at McDonald's. We've been the church, and then sometimes they get the key from the bishop sometimes. We just were, every week it was a crap shot just to find out where we're going to meet. So they said, if we do a library, which this was not the first site. This was not the first site here. We need to have a community center, make it so it's community friendly, people could walk here, and it became a hub of opportunity, a hub of energy. And that's what it is. Libraries are important. Now, the sites were off Southbridge Parkway, Plumtree Road, and here. And we said, well, on National Night Out, let's put it before the voters, so to speak, before the residents of East Forest Park, because East Forest Park typically has the largest turnout for National Night Out. So we said we'll have a ballot box and we'll put it out, and Chairman Allen was there, Tim Allen, Frank Ryan is here, Frank Ryan there, and we had someone who was watching the ballot box. And should I call Bill Foley's name or should I not call his name? We had the three sites. This site, which was unprecedented, had like 99.99% of the votes. Now, I don't know how Foley ever did what he did, but this ended up being the site. And I'm so thankful and so happy that the residents chose this particular site. It's perfect in the heart of almost East Forest Park, and each and every individual could get here. With that being said, I am going to, the $4.9 million is very important. I'm so fortunate to have co-chairman Lesser, who is on the Senate side of the Library Commission for the state. And Molly, just want to thank you for what you do. And Steve, someone saw you going on the pike. I don't know how many miles an hour you were going. They had a deadline to get the grant in, and he had to drive it down, and he made it. No ticket, right? Nothing. All right. So East Forest Park, a great day. I see Victor Davila, the new council from Ward 6. Thank you, sir. So certainly this is a great day for East Forest Park. It's a great day for the city, and it's a great day for the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, State Representative Williams and State Representative Puppolo. I'm glad you all figured out the appropriate order and were able to make your remarks.
I don't want to get written up.
We do want to acknowledge one of our new city councilors, Victor Davila, who's in the back. Victor, thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge our donors. We could not have done this without significant dollars that have been raised. And we have donors Ward and Phil Caswell, thank you. Mass Mutual, $250,000. Dennis Duquette, thank you. People's Bank, Matt Bannister and Kim Lee, thank you for your significant donation as well. The Community Foundation of Western Mass, Katie Zobel and Sheila Toto, thank you. Chicopee Savings, Phil Wagner and Terry Zolak, probably pronounced it correctly. Incorrectly, I apologize. And of course, our school committee person, Dan Warwick. Okay. Beth? Richie? Tim, come on up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Allen, and I thought Peter was going next, but at any rate, we'll go. I guess you go after us. So, I'm the city councilor, Ward City Councilor for Ward 7. It's been just an honor to be here as your city councilor here. It's a wonderful ward, wonderful neighborhood. We've had our fair share of challenges, mainly from the tornado. To be here today and see this open reminds me of, the conversations with Jean and Molly about the grant when we were trying to write the grant. And when I got notification that we received the grant, I was in a dentist chair. And I was so happy when I left the dentist chair that I just started driving and I got lost. And, but here I am in a library. I got found. And a lot of us find ourselves in libraries. That night, we had a little celebration at Nathan Bill's. Beth was there, and Molly, and a random group of people, including my great advocate for Ward 7 in East Forest Park in the city, who isn't here anymore, Jack Wojcik. He was here to celebrate that night, and he worked hard for this ward in the city. So Beth and I talked this morning. You know, we work together, Beth and I, and I'm the city councilor. She's the president of the Civic Association, but most of the stuff we do, we talk, we consult with each other, and that's why I wanted her up here with me. So I'm going to say some quick thank yous. Most of them are ditto kind of thank yous, and she's going to say a few things, and then I'm going to wrap up. So my quick thank yous were to Domenic, Sarno, Charlie Ryan, the state people. I don't want to repeat every name, everybody. We need to move towards the finish of this at some point. And and the State Library Commission, Roland, I got to know him a little bit, even though it says Ronald in the program, his name is Roland. Springfield Library Foundation, Pat is coming up to talk about that, and the city elected officials, and I'll say, and then Beth will go now, and I'll say a couple more
I'd like to
things.
thank Helen, Molly, Jean, the staff of the library, Patrick Markey, who we could not do this without, and all the donors and friends and neighbors that really made this happen. And again, thank you to our Mayor Sarno, who's really been a champion of this library for us. So that's our thank yous. We did it together, early conference call this morning, I might add.
Yeah, so it's really, you know, library is about transformation, and we talk about resilience and whatever. I want to talk about transformation, and I want to just show you just a connection to our opening ceremony. When we were out there in the rain last year, my brother's probably going to laugh at this, but when Johnson's bookstore closed, I bought all their old quotes that were on the wall, and this was one of the quotes. I'd be happy if it would hang here. I think it's classy. The man who doesn't read books has no advantage over the man who can't read them. And so now everybody will have a chance here, a big chance. All of Springfield will be able to attend this come to this library. And this one I particularly like. All that mankind has done, thought, gained, or been, it is lying as in magic preservation in the pages of books. So the life is here for everybody to come and take advantage of what will be here. You can tell that it rained last year because you can see how some of that stuff. This is authentic. This is the sign that was at that ceremony. There you go. It's raining. Thank you. Thanks, Beth. But I just want to draw a little connection of, you know, transformation in our lives. And we talk about the tornado, and I was there, but I was elected and took office in 2010. The library was in 2000, or the tornado was in 2011. It gets kind of tiring in a way to talk about it sometimes, but it's kind of informative and instructive today because libraries are about transformation, a transformation of people. And you get a chance. Everybody gets a chance here to come here and transform themselves, change themselves, educate themselves, inform themselves, meet other people. And if you think back to driving around these neighborhoods in the summer of 2011, this neighborhood has now been fully transformed. And I would suggest that Surrey Road is as cool a street as there is in residential America. We've got a new high school, a fixed-up elementary school from the wing that got wrecked, and a brand-new library. So to me, the transformation of this street, our city, and this street in particular, and all the neighborhoods and all the people that worked hard to transform their homes and their lives again after that devastation, is represented to me today in this library. So I invite everybody, and I think of the linkage to the past. There are many city councilors here, people who have served on the city council. Jesse and I, who are not on it anymore, Jesse and I are on it now. I've been on it a few years. Jesse got elected a couple of years ago, and now we have Victor, who's been elected. So everything continues, and libraries, I think, provide a thread through our lives. We all got stories of libraries, and I invite everybody in our neighborhood in the city of Springfield to come and help transform their lives in this city, in this beautiful library. Thank you.
Well, today is really a great day about the future of East Forest Park in Springfield. As we celebrate this great, great room and this great library of the future, I've thought about the past. in the past, the heartbeat of the first library was in the ancient world. Libraries were places where people met to talk about culture, art, engineering, medicine, and other thoughts. So I did a little research early this morning after our conference call. Thank you, Tim. And the Egyptians etched above the door in the library, medicine for the soul. Think about that. That's what it really is. Whatever you need can be found in a library. This library is just amazing. It brings everything to the future, and it's also the center of the universe. It is not only about books and videos and rooms, it's the community room, it's the neighborhood. This will be our new future meeting room for the East Forest Park Civic Association. How great is this? This is our room. Thank you. So I hope you join us. I hope you join us. It's the second Wednesday of every month at 6:30. However, in January, we will be celebrating with the library staff to thank for all the hard work on the second Wednesday. So we are looking forward to meeting new faces, new neighbors. And I guess the last thing I want to say today, as we close this, we are celebrating with the ribbon cutting. And I guess I want to leave you with that one thought. I hope you enjoy this amazing building and medicine for our soul. I hope it reaches you and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. I was remiss in not effectively introducing Beth Hogan, who is the president of the East Forest Park Civic Association. Beth, thank you for your work and all that you do to keep our community moving forward. And of course, to our Ward 7 City Councilor, we are very fortunate to have Tim Allen, who works very tirelessly every day for all of us who live or reside in this neighborhood and all across the city of Springfield. Thank you very much, City Councilor Tim Allen. Next, we are going to hear from those individuals who really had the boots on the ground, if you will. The city is also extremely blessed to have a capital asset management team that is internal to City Hall. That's important because had we not had that team, this project would have cost another $500,000. And so by having a group of individuals who are talented, committed, and who have the skills to do amazing work, we saved $500,000 on this project because we manage this project internally. Please welcome the Director of Capital Asset Management and the individual who really had the boots on the ground on this one, and that is Myron Hatchett. Please come forward.
Thank you, Helen. Just want to give a couple thanks. I think everybody's been thanked a couple times here, but the architects here from Stuart Roberts Architects, they led the design team, did a fabulous job, as you can see. Natalie is here. She was our person every day on this project. And then we have the Stuart, which is the leader of the group for the design team. So I want to thank them as well. Bud touched on the community meetings. We went to a lot of community meetings. I've met a lot of you folks. There was no community hall, so we met at St. Michael's. We met at a bunch of different places. But one of the oddest places I think we met was the porch of Charles Ryan. I got called and said, we're having a meeting on the porch. And I said, okay, what porch? And we met. So that is a true statement. They were a rogue group all over the place, but now you have a home. So welcome home. The city, I just want to, the mayor's not here, so I can kind of suck up to him a little bit. Maybe you guys can report back. Every department in the city had something to do with that. So that leadership from Mayor Sarno, him coming into a room saying, you having a problem with whatever department, he fixed that. He made it all go smooth and made sure we didn't have any roadblocks, which is a huge, huge help to a project like this. So I want to thank all the city staff. A lot of them are here. The site selection was interesting, as Bud alluded to. So we landed on what I think is the best site. So with that, one more person I'd like to thank, my guardian angel, Jean. Thank you. Saved me from Mr. So Myron's going to go through some of the systems that were put in place. He showed off a couple of them earlier on with the shades and dimming the lights when people were talking too long. So, and again, thank you very much to Myron Hatchett. He was here every day. Someone said he showed up when we broke ground, but I think I saw him here a couple months earlier, sitting on the park bench, looking around, saying, "What are we going to do here?" So, thank you.
I won't bore you with all what's in the walls, but real quickly, it's a 17,000 square foot facility. This is the most energy efficient building the city has. So the operating costs will be low. As we saw, the shades came down, so that helped with the air conditioning costs coming this summer. But also, again, as Peter mentioned, I want to acknowledge the architects, Natalie and Stuart. They gave you a beautiful building. John of the contracting firm, W.F. Montford, and Rob, his superintendent, they built you a fabulous building. Our change orders were minimum. We don't always get to pat ourselves on the back, but this job came in on time, under budget. So that was a good thing. But I also want to acknowledge some of the people behind the scenes, the technology folks, from Mary to Eddie, to Jamila, that make all the magic happen. I don't know what they do, but when you hit a button, it works. Grace and her new staff, they can't wait to open up the building for you to help serve you. So we just appreciate y'all coming out. I think this facility will improve the neighborhood. You'll love it. There's a lot of facilities in here. There's a maker space. It's a creative space, 3D printers. You're going to love it. So I'll continue so y'all can enjoy the building, get to the tour, and thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, and Myron, thank you. You know, Myron was my first babysitter when we were younger, so thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to know you throughout my life. So thank you, Myron. In my lifetime, I've had the opportunity to observe amazing women who I have always thought to myself, I want to emulate that woman. This woman, Barbara Garvey, sat on the Springfield City Council, and I must tell you, there was no stronger or more informed or more educated city councilor in my time going before the Springfield City Council. I would look at her and think, one day I'm going to be that intelligent, that beautiful, that articulate, and the ability to just navigate the political system in a way that was so seamless. And I admire her, truly admire her, value and appreciate her, and still am trying to be like her. Please welcome Barbara Garvey.
We are all here to celebrate this marvelous building. And I'm so glad to see all of you and to know that the work of all of these wonderful people is now receiving the celebratory congratulations from the community which it will serve. You're probably surprised that I'm doing this instead of Charlie. But when I looked at the program and the speakers and the participants, you may agree that there was kind of a lack of gender equity. Sorry. So Charlie graciously stepped back for me. Well, that's only fair, because it was I who was trying to convince a very dubious Mayor Ryan in 2005 that once the bequests and the endowments were to be taken from the Museum and Libraries Association and given to the library, we would need a nonprofit foundation to do that task. And so, with the help of attorney Brenda Doherty, and I helped a little, Charlie finally agreed that we should have the Springfield Library Foundation, and he was its first president. One of the most important jobs that we as a foundation, and you've met many of the members here, we now have 19 members, and an executive director, Matt Blumenfeld, who will carry the foundation on into the future, and I'm sure do even more wonderful things than we did. But we needed to understand and appreciate and comply with the wishes of the people who had left their money for the benefit of the library system in Springfield. This group of generous donors were interested in a variety of ways that they wanted to support the library. And the dates on these gifts to our library range from 1869 to the most recent in 2018. We need a 2019 donor, hurry up. And the amounts that they donated range from a few $1,000s to Annie Curran's gift of $1 million in 1954. Let me mention a few things about Annie. Annie Curran lived on Dartmouth Street, which is in the McKnight district, and in the community around what we called then Winchester Square, now Mason Square. I like to say that she married well because she benefited from the wills of probably 3 husbands. And it's a woman. Library lore tells us that she would send her chauffeur to the storefront library on Catherine Street at that time to pick up her books. And when she died, she decreed that her gift must be used to build a new library on Winchester Square. And by the time the foundation was formed, her gift had increased to $4 million. And so, thanks to Annie Curran, we now have the wonderful Mason Square Library as it is today. Thus, the foundation became an integral part of the city of Springfield's efforts to support a modern, not just up-to-date, but a leading library system among Massachusetts libraries. And over the past 14 years, the foundation has contributed more than $5 million to our library system for projects, for books, for materials, as well as staff training. So we hope and really struggle to fulfill the wishes of these donors for many, many years in the past and for many, many years to come. We want to thank Mayor Ryan and Mayor Sarno for their continued vigorous practice of supplying vital and crucially important funds from the city budget. Thanks to the city, to the state, and the foundation, this East Forest Park Library we are proudly meeting in is a leader among the libraries in the whole nation. However, this is simply a building, superb as it is, beautiful as it is, well-furnished and supplied well as it is. It's just a building. It will come alive only when the most essential ingredient is added to it, the librarians. People leave money to places that they value and cherish. Librarians make that possible by enabling the public to take full advantage of the variety of services the library delivers. As do teachers, librarians open doors for us, inspire us to search for information, to learn, to enjoy the wide world of benefits that libraries supply. So today, we celebrate the opening of another source of pleasure, inspiration, and education that we all need so much. We thank the people who helped to make this indispensable project really happen. And we heartily welcome the folks who will infuse this building with fire and life, our librarians.
Well, I have been educated. I know you all have been. Isn't she amazing? Isn't she amazing? But I am blessed to learn that Annie Curran married well. Annie had 3 husbands of wealth. 4? 3, right? Okay. My friend's back there. 3 husbands, and she married well. Married, any young people in that? Married well. Okay, I'd like to recognize Bob McCarroll, is it? Of the Community Preservation, and Karen Lee of Community Preservation. Is that correct? Were those the 2 names? Now, the beautiful garden that you will see was made possible by a grant through the Community Preservation Act, and we want to acknowledge the voters in the room who voted for it, and we are the beneficiaries of it as well. So thank you. Okay, so we are coming to the end of our program. And I want to recognize and thank the members of the foundation. We want to thank the city councilors. We want to thank our legislators. We want to thank everyone who made this possible, but no more greater thanks should go to anyone except Pat Markey. Pat Markey, yes. Pat Markey is the president of the Springfield Library Foundation, and that's important because Charles V. Ryan was the president for, I think, 13 or 14 years. He was the one who was at the helm. Now, if you know anything about a relay race, you hand that baton off to somebody that you know is going to win the race. And you hand it off strong, and you hand it off so that that individual can move forward. That is what Charlie Ryan did with Pat Markey, his chosen 4x4 person. And so, Please welcome former city solicitor of the city of Springfield and an outstanding lawyer and the president of the Library Foundation, Pat Markey, and with him we will have Matt Blumenfeld. Matt Blumenfeld is joined us. He's the individual responsible for the capital campaign. He's the individual responsible for working with us to achieve our goals. He's also the individual who is the executive director of the Springfield Library Foundation. He will, along with Pat Markey and those of us on the board, move this to the next level. We are rising. Welcome these two gentlemen.
Oh my God, who put this agenda together? I'm following Charlie Ryan, no pressure, and I'm speaking after Barbara Garvey. Woo. The Springfield Library Foundation has gotten a lot of credit today. I just want to make clear that the Springfield Library Foundation is the receptacle of gifts of those who have come before us. Those individuals, some like Annie Curran, who are wealthy, and many more who are not wealthy. Many like those of us who are here today. Those who came before us saw the good in the library system and invested in it, dug into their own pockets, took their own pennies, their own dollars, and built something that is powerful and forward-looking like our library system. We owe an awful lot to those who have come before us. This day is made possible because the state, the city, the foundation, which is individuals, made it happen. Good things don't just happen. Good people make good things happen. The foundation has been a receptacle and the trustee of the gifts of those who have come before us. This library, this East Forest Park Library, is the result of the individuals who are here today, known and unknown, who, following the example of the Annie Currans and the common people who came before them, have decided to pay it forward. And to them, we owe a great amount of gratitude. This library, the way it happened is the state said, we'll put up this amount of money if the city puts up this amount of money. The city said, we'll put up that amount of money if the foundation comes up with the rest. What they were saying is, we'll put up that amount of money if the people want it, and the people have spoken. The people saw this not as an obligation, something that was difficult, but as an opportunity. As Charlie Ryan once said at one of these events early on, it's not very often that ordinary people get to create something bigger than themselves. The Campanile has been built. Symphony Hall has been built. City Hall has been built. Those buildings that will last generations mostly have been built. But the East Forest Park Library had not been built. The people wanted it built. The people came together, agreed to raise $2 million. I'm happy to say that we're at 1.4 so far, and I'm also happy to say that there is an opportunity for those of you who have not yet been giving to participate and create a legacy going forward, to pay it forward as those who came before us did and set the example for all of us. I want to recognize Matt Blumenfeld. The foundation is a relatively new organization. I'm the number 2 in the 4x4 relay, and there will be more after me, and there will be relay teams after ours as well. One of the things that we need to ensure the professionalization of the organization, to ensure that we are adhering to all the state guidelines, that we're honoring the bequests of those who came before us and those who give now, is an executive director who will pay attention to this every hour of the day when the rest of us volunteers are out making a living so that we can give money to the library. Matt Blumenfeld is that person, and I want to introduce him and thank him for agreeing to serve in that role going forward. Thank you, Matt.
Well,
I guess I'm the last person standing between you and actually seeing what all of this wonderful work has brought to fruition. So I will be extremely brief and very technical. I'm really honored to continue on with the foundation as executive director. It is really a sacred trust between the foundation and its donors to help the library accomplish remarkable things, such as this campaign, such as providing almost a third of the materials budget for the entire system. The Library Foundation has already played a huge role. It will play an increasing role as we move forward with your support. So I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. I am thrilled. I've worked on 20 some odd library projects over the last 20 years. This is one of the most incredible. It's a true community library. I know you're just dying to go and see it, and I wanted to say a couple of words of thanks to folks who haven't been thanked. Every member of the Promise Realized Campaign Steering Committee. I see Chris Caputo here. I see Dora. I see Beth, Tim, and again, thank all of the donors to this campaign who have made a difference and taken advantage of this opportunity to do something wonderful together. And so that brings me to the second point, which is there's still opportunity remaining. And you will see that there are temporary donor plaques scattered around the library. If you have made a contribution already, you will see your name on the main donor plaque out in the lobby. If you see any mistake, please let us know. We will have a table out there. We want to make sure that when we get the permanent plaques affixed, that everything is spectacular and correct. We are also happy to announce that we are reopening the Buy a Brick campaign. So out in the reading garden, there are something like 150 bricks already with people's names and sayings on them. We are opening that today. You can do that on your telephone, you can do it on a library computer, or you can come see us at the desk outside of the wonderful, wonderful makerspace that is a unique asset to the city. That is all that I want to say, and I thank you and look forward to serving you and the community for this library and the entire system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Markey. Thank you, Mr. Blumenfeld. We are going to do the ribbon cutting, and then we have refreshments. But the question we leave you with is, what is your legacy? What is the legacy that you leave in terms of this community? And so you've heard the appeal. We really need individuals in our community, in our city, to step up and continue to provide the funding that is going to assure that we have a library system for generations to come, much like Annie Curran did. Pay it forward. Ask yourselves the question, what is your legacy? And we would appreciate it if your legacy was to the Library Foundation and you continue to support us as we continue to support East Forest Park and the entire City of Springfield library system. So we ask you, if you would walk with us. I see another department head that I work closely with who was not here when I announced department heads. Let me say hi, Sandy Federico. And so we are going to go out, cut the ribbon, and then you are welcome to have refreshments, take a tour. This is our home, right? Yes, so thank you all so much.